Hi, class. I'm here to talk a little bit about the temperature and solubility lab that you'll do for chapter 13. This you'll see posted in the content for week 1, and I'll let you read through the background, the goal, and then you maybe want to take a look at the procedure, and then I'm going to just walk you through some of the steps of the procedure so that you'll have an introduction from me about how to use this platform. So the link for this virtual lab is here, and you're just going to click on that link and it will take you to the workbench. So the first thing, and all of this is well detailed in the lab procedure, but again, I thought it'd be good to walk you through it. So if you go to the file drop-down menu and then go to load assignment, for this lab, you'll go to solubility and solids, and then you'll click on this first one, temperature and the solubility of salts. So then the first thing that you'll do is click on the positive for the distilled water, and that will bring the distilled water onto the bench. Then you'll go back to the stockroom, you'll go to glassware, and you'll scroll down to beakers, and you'll hit the plus sign twice to get 2 beakers for the distilled water onto your workbench. And so then the next step, again, just look at the procedure. You don't have to remember everything I'm saying right now, but just seeing it once might help. So to fill the beaker with water, you have to position the jug of distilled water directly over the beaker so that that plus sign shows. Sometimes it's a little finicky, but once that shows, then you'll have to just type in here, and I note in the procedure 100 milliliters. And so then you just hit the pour, and your 100 milliliters of water goes into that beaker. And then we're going to do the same thing for the second beaker. And again, it's a little bit finicky about there. So the plus sign didn't come up that time, but as long as I get my text box, I type in my 100 milliliters, and there I have it. So now I'm finished with the distilled water. So if I click on it and I go back here to edit menu, I can just remove that jug of water. So then I'll only have 2 things on my workbench for now to work with. Another handy thing here is to right click on the beaker and you can rename it. And one will be for the potassium chloride. So you can just rename that just so you keep track of what you have. This is really a nice feature. So if I right click here, I'll do the same thing, rename. This one is the cesium sulfate. So I'll click on that. So now I have my 2 beakers of water. They're both named. And now I'll go back to the stockroom. I'll go to solutions and I'll scroll to the KCl. So now I'll grab the KCl. I'll bring it close to my beaker. Again, you'll see the plus sign. Now in the procedure, I say to add 6-gram increments. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in 6 and then I'll hit pour. And that tells me that I have 6 grams added. Now the only problem here is that it won't keep track of how much you're adding. So you kind of have to make tick marks on the side on a piece of paper so you remember how many increments you added, because it's going to be important to know the total amount of reagent that you're adding. And so you'll also notice on the left-hand side where you have the species and the molarity. So it will tell you this molarity, moles per liter, of the potassium and the chloride ion in the solution. So you know that it's fully dissolved. Okay, so now I'm going to continue adding increments. So now I'm at 12. Now I'm at 18. Now I'm at 24. Now I'm at 30. And you can see here that the molarity of your ions in solution is increasing, which would make sense as I add more solid. And I also want you to be noting the temperature. What's happening to the temperature as I add solid? I don't want you to record the exact temperature, but I just want you to note, is the temperature going down or is it going up? So now I'm going to add one more increment. And now what I notice is something important here. I see under the solid species in grams that there's now solid KCl left over. So that means it's not all dissolved. So that means I've reached the point where my solution is supersaturated. And you can see that the concentration of your ions remains constant here. So at this point, I've added 36 grams. I'm going to just be patient and wait until all of these ion values equilibrate and this temperature returns back to 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I think that should give you a good idea on how to proceed with this lab, and you'll follow all of the procedural steps, and then you'll go about doing the same type of procedure for the cesium sulfate portion of the lab. And then there is one more piece that I want to show you, and that is the last part where I ask you to change the temperature. So I'm going to click over here on the cesium sulfate, and I'm going to do a right click here and see where it says thermal properties. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to lower my temperature just to give you and show you how I would lower the temperature. So now I've lowered the temperature, and there's a piece of the lab where you're going to analyze what happens to the saturated solution or supersaturated solution when you change the temperature. But I just wanted to show you how you change the temperature. So again, I'll show you again. I click on this, I right click, I go to thermal properties, and then I can change the temperature according to the procedure. Okay, hope that helps. Good luck with that.